17th of January 1995, 5:46 a.m. The earth shakes for 30 seconds. One of the severest earthquakes of the past 50 years hits the city of Kobe. Certainly the worst natural disaster in Japan since World War II. As well as inflicting serious damage on buildings and infrastructure, the earthquake, with a magnitude of 7.3 on the Richter scale, also claimed almost 6,000 lives and surprised a region completely unprepared for a cataclysm of such dimensions. Therefore, as a token gesture, in 1999, the Japanese government decided to construct the world's biggest shaking table in Miki, a small town several kilometers north of Kobe. This shaking table of 20 by 15 meters is able to reproduce any earthquake, even those having high magnitudes. A mass of up to 1,200 tons can be moved simultaneously in 3 directions, just as in a real earthquake. The energy needed for such a simulation may reach 150,000 kilowatt-hours, which corresponds to the energy needed by a city with approximately 150,000 inhabitants. The platform works thanks to a hydraulic system that is able to provide a huge amount of oil to the cylinders. Here below there are 10 horizontal cylinders and 14 vertical cylinders that allow for oscillations in 3 dimensions and rotational movements. This shaking table is called E-defense, where E stands for Earth, and it was constructed to prevent seismic calamities on a global scale. It is the only table in the world able to reproduce an earthquake whose damage capacity leads to complete collapse of the structure. The table is capable of moving at a velocity of up to 2 meters per second, which is about 1.3 times more than that produced by the Kobe earthquake. Since 2004, hundreds of real-scale prototypes of houses, bridges, public and industrial buildings have been tested in Miki. And the waiting list for the table takes years. Americans, English, Germans and Chinese are queuing up to obtain Japanese anti-seismic certification. In October 2007, a 24-meter high 7-story Sophie building made entirely of wood more than 250 cubic meters coming from the certified forests of the Fiemme Valley, was constructed on the monster table in Miki in order to be subjected to the earthquake that 12 years ago hit the Hyogo prefecture. The event was followed by researchers, professionals, executives and contractors from all over the world. Delegations from Canada, the United States, Colombia, Vietnam, India, New Zealand, Germany, Korea and Slovenia attended the press conference, while many ordinary people who had experienced the tragedy of 1995 watched the seismic test attentively. Hundreds of people with different motivations, but united by the same incredulous curiosity to see an experiment that had never been ventured before. The testing program scheduled the successive execution of 2 seismic accelerograms. The recent Niigata-Chetsu-Oki earthquake in July 2007 and the great Hanshin Awaji earthquake in 1995, known as the Kobe earthquake. Both tests were performed executing the 3-dimensional movements of the 2 earthquakes. The results were astonishing. After more than 10 consecutive tests, no residual displacement was observed. In other words, the building always returned to its position without altering the structure. Never before had a wooden building of such dimensions resisted a similar impact. The building oscillated for a couple of seconds, uplifted slightly, and returned to its initial position, causing only minor damage, which is easily repairable. An unprecedented experiment which will change the way of building houses all over the world. This test was born from a project that started in 2001 and that involved Italian and Japanese research institutes. This project is certainly one of those that must be cited as a positive example of collaboration, where Italian research has shown itself to be at the highest possible level, and where it is also acknowledged as such, acknowledged by our Japanese colleagues. We can come to Japan We can speak about technology to each other as equals. We can be present with ideas that can be transformed into products. We are here through research institutes that have ideas and propose solutions that may be transformed into enterprises. Enterprises that in this case have to do with the building industry. A world in need of innovation, and a world that started in the Trentino region, may be able to modernize its techniques and methods by accepting the challenge of sustainable and environmentally friendly constructions.